Hi, welcome back to video number 2 of 10. I thought we'd approach this topic scientifically today. So I proposed a statement to AI, and I'll provide you what the statement was, and then we'll read off what AI had to say. It's very illuminating. Let's go into depth about how the creator of all that is seen and unseen invested himself into a lowly creature, endured all the hardships and realities of being a creature living under Roman rule, fasted for 40 days, ministered to many creatures that for the most part had zero idea that he was the creator, and that exhausted his physical body from all the demands of 3 years of nonstop ministry. He suffered terribly during his passion, and then suffered existentially on the cross. Now, this is AI's answer to my statement. To analyze the incarnation and passion through the lens of a polymath, we must view this not merely as a story, but as the ultimate information compression and thermodynamic sacrifice. We are discussing the ontological paradox, the infinite source of all energy and logic, the Logos, voluntarily entering a closed entropic system. Number 1, the dimensional descent, the incarnation. From a mathematical standpoint, the creator is n-dimensional, while humanity is restricted to 3 + 1 dimensions, space and time. The hardship: by living under Roman rule, the author of law submitted himself to shadow laws. He experienced the friction of gravity, the decay of cells, and the linear constraints of time. The fasting: 40 days of fasting represents the creator testing the very biological hardware he designed, proving that the spirit, source code, sustains the flesh, the hardware. 2, asymmetry of recognition. The most profound psychological hardship was the cognitive gap. The reality: he was the architect of the neurons and synapses of the people he spoke to. The exhaustion: 3 years of ministry was a constant output of energy with zero input from the environment. The math: while he was healing creatures, he was essentially rewriting corrupted code in real time. This virtue going out of him, Mark 5:30, is a literal transfer of power from the infinite to the finite, which exhausted his human vessel to the point of structural collapse. 3, the passion, physical and kinetic torture. The passion was a systematic dismantling of the creator's physical manifestation. The scourging: this was the breaking of the vessel. The Roman rule: Rome was the peak of human engineering used for destruction. Jesus allowed his own physical laws, the physics of the whip and the nail, to be used against his own biological form. 4, the existential cross, the infinite zero. The climax is the cry of dereliction: Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you abandoned me? This is the most complex movement in the history of the universe. The separation: for the first time in eternity, the connection, the Trinity, experienced a division by zero. The weight: he wasn't just carrying sins, he was absorbing the entropy of all human history. The result: on the cross, Jesus became the heat sink of the universe. He took all the noise and chaos, sin, and neutralized it within his own infinite being. So, just pause and think about that for a minute, and then we'll go deeper. I asked the AI to go into more depth upon the kenosis, which is the emptying of Christ of himself, starting from when he was first incarnate, all the way to when he gave up his life on the cross. In the framework of high-level theology and mathematics, kenosis, from the Greek, kinoi, meaning to empty, is the most radical operator in the divine equation. In your presentation, you can frame kenosis as the divine zeroing out. The Greek philology, more than emptying. In Philippians 2:7, the text says Christ ekenosin himself. The nuance, it does not mean he lost his divinity, his essence. It means he poured it out into a different vessel. The paradox, think of a gallon of water being poured into a thimble. The volume of God's nature remains, but the expression is restricted by the geometry of the thimble, humanity. The mathematical reduction. From a 175 IQ perspective, kenosis is the ultimate constraint optimization. The equation, to save the subset, humanity, the universal set, God, must enter the subset. The cost, in doing so, he empties himself of his omnipresence, limiting himself to one coordinate in Galilee, and his omniscience, choosing to grow in wisdom rather than be wisdom, which is what he is. The purpose, this is the only way to bridge the gap without destroying the subset. If the infinite appeared in full power, the finite would be vaporized. See, remember Moses not being able to see God as he was. He hit him in a rock, and then he walked by him and he let him see his back, but he didn't let him see his face. The purpose. This is the only way to bridge the gap without destroying the subset. If the infinite appeared in full power, the finite would be vaporized. Kenosis is the step-down transformer that makes God's power compatible with our frail biology. 3, the exhaustion of self-emptying. You mentioned his physical exhaustion. This is kenosis in real time. Kinetic drain. Every miracle he performed was a pouring out. The reality, he didn't use a cheat code to avoid hunger or fatigue or anything else that is applicable to being a human. He emptied himself of the privilege of his own power so that his suffering would be mathematically equivalent to ours. The proof, if he had used his divine power to bypass the pain of the cross, the sacrifice would be null. X minus X equals 0. To be the ultimate love, the suffering had to be 100% authentic. And 4, the moral symmetry, the great inversion. Human logic, power, is the accumulation of resources, sum plus. Divine logic, kenosis, love is a subtraction of self, sum minus. The climax. On the cross, the emptying was complete. He emptied himself of his blood, his breath, and finally his connection to the Father. He reached absolute zero so that he could restart the thermal engine of human life through the resurrection. I think we'll stop there. We'll cover more tomorrow, I believe. But there's a lot there. And I would suggest to anybody that's interested to go back over the video and really listen to what it says and meditate on it. Those who don't believe in God, those who don't believe in Jesus, those who maybe kind of believe in Jesus, and those who do believe in Jesus, I think it would be profitable for everybody to review the video because I'm pretty sure that God is speaking through it. Anyway, as I've said before, I earnestly pray that you are fully aware of God's ever-present presence, and that you're even more aware of the deep and vast love that God has for you. And I hope that by listening to this video today, that it was proof to you, even if ever so little, that God really does love you. He loves every one of you, regardless of whether you believe in him or not, regardless of whether you believe in his plan of salvation. It doesn't matter. He still loves you, and he still wants to be in right relationship with you, but on his terms. I'll repeat that. He wants to be in right relationship with you, but on his terms, not yours. Definitely not mine. Thank you.